Well, enhancement really means anything that makes us humans somewhat better than we were before from the point of view of technology or our bodies, something which is a bit permanent inside us. And it's a bit of a slippery term, it can mean lots of different things, but things like vaccination would be enhancement in the sense that we have a better immune system than we had before. Things like even cochlear implants, that would be enhancement because we have much better hearing than we had before, or a hip implant. So I like to separate enhancement into three kinds of category. You can either have trivial things, which are a bit like, let's say, vaccination, which is not at all trivial in its implications for our medical lives, but it doesn't raise any particular big ethical issues. And then you can have what I call conventional enhancements, and these would be things like cosmetic surgery, things like prosthetic limbs, where athletes maybe get better performance than they had before by having something built into their arms. It could involve chips in the brain, things like cyborgs, where you actually have chips implanted which will give you some enhancement. The idea it's got to be part of your body, really. And then you have transhumanism, which is an extension of that. And transhumanism means the idea of making this into a philosophical program where enhancement technologies are actually central to our program for life. So we want to then, in transhumanism, use enhancement technologies to make not just better humans technologically, even go beyond that, to make post-humans, humans who will be, according to transhumanist philosophy, will have their minds downloaded into computers and will live in this sort of digitized age, and they'll become immortal because they will be free of their present bodies. That's the kind of transhumanist, slightly wacky kind of idea, I have to say. So those are the sort of different types of enhancement, and some of them, we as Christians would probably think that's fine, it doesn't sound too bad, we can live with that. And other things up the wacky end we might really want to critique. And I think it's interesting, when you look at transhumanist philosophy, what you see is a kind of secularized Christian theology. So you see the main strands of Christian theology, but they've all been secularized. So transhumanists would say, yes, there's a problem with humans, but it's simply because we haven't evolved far enough yet, and so we want to help that along through technological means. Then they would say, therefore, we need a solution to that problem, and so we need a savior, and the savior is technology. And we need a future life which is beyond our present life, and so, well, there we have this post-human ideology, this post-human future, where you even get downloading of people into substrate-independent forms, meaning they're actually independent of their physical bodies and so on. So you have a kind of secularized, bowdlerized Christian theology. And I think that immediately tells us, what the Christian critique of this whole philosophy is. Because, of course, we will want to say, yes, we have a problem, of course, but our problem is sin and alienation from God. It's not in our biology, really. It's actually in the sense of alienation from God. Yes, we need a savior, but this is a savior, Christ, who will actually deliver us from this alienation and make us into transformed humans. So the emphasis in Christian theology is not on just making me a little bit better or technologically transformed, but making me into a new transformed human being who will then help to transform society. And then Christian theology, of course, would also want to say that in the future we have the hope of a resurrection body where we won't be in some digitized, platonic kind of heaven where our minds will be floating around in some digital space, but we will actually have real physical resurrection bodies that will enjoy this new heavens and the new earth. So in every point in transhumanistic philosophy you see, as it were, Christian vision, which I think is much greater and which is a much more attractive opportunity, a much more attractive alternative, really, to this transhumanist kind of philosophy.